he needs the people. He needs the help because we're getting swamped. So he just wanted
Testing.
There we go.
I'm just trying to make sure that we can.
You know what I
fucking
noticed
hear
that we
everything.
didn't put in on this?
What's that? We didn't put a lot of stuff in.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No.
I think
Nick was really the only one that did anything. Not that we couldn't really go with the flow here. I really think we could go with the flow for now. Next week though, really we'll hunker down and get some stuff together to like actually have a episode type. Like I know we were obviously we talked for a whole hour of just catching up with everybody and just trying to see where everybody is, but next week specifically would be definitely something to settle everybody in and get something actually.
You want to do the rule changes next week?
Yeah. So if you wanted to, I'm recording now just to kind of play it back in a second or two. But there is stuff we should talk about. Definitely, rule changes being one of them, and what your opinions of them are. Because I know everybody's got a little bit.
I love that
of
clock.
a different opinion of it. I actually, for what it's worth, I actually do.
I don't mind the pace of play.
It's awesome.
Improvement. The pace of play improvement is dope.
And stolen bases.
What
way
I
up.
don't like though. What I don't like is that, like the thing that happened with Pete Alonso.
Well, I mean, there's going to be hiccups.
That whole fiasco was a mess.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be hiccups to start. My biggest takeaways from the rule changes, honestly, I love the pitch clock and the pace of play. I still do not care for the everybody's got to be on their side of the infield rule.
The shift?
Yes. I was saying for months on end.
I just hate seeing like a third baseman in right field. I hated that shit.
I agree with you, but you know how that issue was solved? Bunt.
True.
No, but nobody
bunts anymore.
Bunting is not sexy. So the MLB decided to change the rules to keep the game a little more sexy because they didn't want to see people bunting. But you could have solved the shift issue by just bunting down the line every time. With third base that wide open, just all you have to do is pass the pitcher with the ball.
But they're not.
But they didn't. So they changed the rule. That I thought was a little annoying, but I enjoy the pitch clock. There are always going to be hiccups, especially in the first week or two or what have you.
Yeah,
and there definitely was, obviously.
Yeah.
Pete Alonso's issue.
Not getting back to first base on time in between the pitch, so Jeff McNeil gets a strike.
Yes. Yep. And there are some minor details that are going to have to be worked out, but, I mean, just some of those numbers already. In the first week, I think they said average game time is down like 40 minutes.
Yeah, it was like 36, I think, was the number.
Yeah, 36 minutes. And then stolen base numbers are already up like 120% in the first 2 days, which is awesome, by the way.
Stuff. I love seeing stolen bases.
Yeah, like I thought I was going to hate it.
We might see somebody hit the 60 stolen base mark.
Maybe.
I mean, come on. You're wearing a Phillies hat, Jeff. You should be thinking Trey Turner here all day.
Yeah, well.
I mean, the way that he runs the bases now with a bigger base and that's.
Wow, and then watching. Did you guys get to watch any of the actual international games?
Yes.
So I did. I watched
a lot of. Awesome.
I watched the Final Four, like the Final Four teams, the final 3 games. That was all I was able to catch of it. But goddamn, Japan is like.
Shohei is different.
I will say one thing though. I really enjoyed not having a pitch clock in those moments because I think the biggest problem we're going to come to with the pitch clock and the rule change in that way is when you get into the 9th inning in a World Series or in a big playoff spot, right? The pitch clock can kind of take away from that.
Yeah, that's why I feel like when it comes to postseason, like it should be something very similar. It should be like postseason. The pitch clock should be taken out, and then also the stupid the runner on second rule in extra innings too.
Yes,
that I don't think they should have kept. I think that is something they should have gotten rid of because going to extra innings is kind of what makes it fun and giving both. I get that you give both teams the opportunity, but when you have somebody on second, I mean, all it takes is a bloop single, and you score a run, and then that's it. You go into the next inning, and one team has a better bullpen, or even still, you get. I mean, imagine you look at Edwin Diaz coming in to save the game up a run versus somebody coming in a tie game with a runner on second that was given to them, and they have the worst closing pitcher in the league come in. Like, I mean, you know what I mean?
Yes. I do think it does give each team the same advantage, but I really think it would have been better to have the extra runner 10 innings plus. Or, excuse me, 12 innings plus. So you get 2 innings of extra inning baseball, see if something can happen, and then add that extra runner. Because what I think baseball's thought was, nobody wants to see a 15-inning game. And that's true. Nobody wants to watch a 15-inning game. I mean, it was already long enough.
Except for maybe me.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think it's if it's a competitive game.
If it's a competitive game, yes.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm watching a game go into the 15th inning where I'm watching Luis Guillorme come in and
right. If you're watching
and throw
paint dry,
50-mile-an-hour ephesus over the plate,
right?
All right.
If you're watching paint dry, you don't want 15 innings. But I think baseball's idea was, hey, we can speed the game up and not have extra innings go to 15, 16, 17, right? You can go 10, 11, maybe 12 at most. Right. The problem, though, to your point, is it takes away from the whole point of extra innings because you're giving that team a bunt and an out, and they score.
Right.
Right? Like, it ruins that, and I just don't care for it. I think it would have been better if they would have done it 12 innings plus, right? And I also think the 9th inning of the pitch clock should just be turned off. 9th inning, turn the clock off, let the batters bat, let the pitchers pitch, because, again, when you get into the playoffs in a very high-stress situation and now you've got a pitch clock on top of you, granted, they're going to have all year to figure that out. The closers are going to have to deal with that for the entire season. But when you get into a high-stress situation, like Citizens Bank Park is, as much as I hate to say this, a phenomenal place to play in the postseason. I mean, those fans are absolutely wild. Dude, going in there, it's different. And going in there in the 9th inning with a clock breathing down your neck and the fans breathing down your neck, it's not going to be easy. And I think it takes something away from the game, just like having the runner on second. But all in all, the rule changes, I think, have been great for the sport so far.
I'm excited to see how pitchers are going to change off the pickoff, right? Because
I'm going to see how it affects with tipping pitches, too.
Yeah.
And not having proper time to come set correctly or having time to realize, like, hey, I might be, on a changeup, I might be setting my glove like 4 inches below where I set it when I'm throwing a fastball.
It is going to be interesting, and players on base will have more of a chance to really see what the pitchers are doing, right? Knowing that they can't get the ball thrown at them more than twice, I think it is, right?
Well, I think it's you can throw it 3 times, but on the third time you have to get them out, otherwise it's
a balk, right?
It's a balk, yeah.
Right, but that's only from the pitcher.
Correct. Catchers have free range.
Right.
So you can back pick all you want.
Yeah, you can back pick, which I think is going to be what they wind up starting to really work on because there is no regulations
and
about that.
There's already a good amount of catchers in the MLB. I say good amount. There's a few
out of 30 teams. There's probably like 4 that I know could do it.
That actively do it too.
Yeah.
Like
Real Muto does it all the
Real
time.
Muto does it all the time. Both of the Contreras brothers do it all of the time, and even Narvaez, Omar Narvaez. He likes to do it too, to third base even.
Right.
So, I feel like you're going to see that a lot more versus a pitcher, and I can't count how many times I've watched a pitcher throw the ball 5 feet behind the defender at whatever base he's throwing to, trying to pick him off, and then it's a free base anyway.
I think it will be fun with the new rule, especially that rule, because of the fact that runners now have an advantage, right? Knowing the pitcher checked you twice, you now know, okay, I can stare at him, I can find what he's doing, I can see what he's doing, how he's tipping his pitches, right? It brings a whole new level to base running, which I think is awesome. And secondly, I think what it does now is allow a little more magic in baseball, where it's like the hidden ball trick. Dude, we're bringing that back, right? Like, it forces teams to be a little more creative on how they want to go about slowing down the run game, right?
Yep.
You now have to try the hidden ball trick. You now have to work your pickoff move a little better, right? Like, you have to do the Nestor Cortez, right, where he does the the wind up, and he throws his legs in 100 directions and really
now
throws
he really
everything
can't
off.
do it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, dude, it's wild. I don't know if you remember in spring training, Max Scherzer actually had one of the greatest at bat or one of the greatest sequences. While who was at bat? I'm drawing a blank, but nonetheless, the sequence went something of the sorts where Max Scherzer waited and waited and waited and waited, and the batter then took his only timeout, right? Steps out, comes back in. Now Max Scherzer knows
And quick pitches.
quick
him,
pitch him,
right?
right? He quick pitched him, and then after quick pitching him, right, he does the same thing to another batter, if not the same. Slows him down, forces him to take time out, and then when he comes back and sets, he sat there and sat there and sat there. And just the little intricacies like that is
he's
phenomenal.
finding the little loopholes.
Yes, yes. It's very interesting how it's all shaken out. And some pitchers are struggling. I don't know if you saw Aaron Nola's first start the other night. It wasn't good. I mean, the first couple innings were great, and then once he got sped up in the fourth,
the Phillies got to. I think they got to move him while they still can.
Maybe he didn't pitch. He didn't pitch horribly today.
What was that? His 2018 or 2019 season that he broke out, and everybody thought he was going to be the next Cy Young, and then since that, he's had
slow downturn. It's interesting to see where they will go. I know that there's first couple games that they had were really upsetting to see coming out of the international games and seeing a lot of the players playing in international games and seeing how well they were performing, and then seeing them do all right, but not at that peak that we saw them before coming into these games. And it was like, all right, well, what do we need to take to get back into gear and get back to that level again? Yeah,
I really think, especially somebody like Nola, I think his first start was a little rough. He pitched a lot better today, actually. They just ran into a tough Yankees lineup.
Right.
And it was only a 2-1 final, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not like he had an awful outing today, but that's going to be something to watch is when a pitcher starts to get sped up, right? Especially a bullpen guy. He comes in, and now you got this clock, and now there's runners on base, and now you're getting sped up, and that changes the dynamic of the game too, right? Because you don't have that time to waste and slow down and catch your breath and really get back in that motion and rotation of like throwing these pitches. So that's going to be super interesting in its own. But man, oh man, the Phillies have looked brutal the first 6 games. I mean, getting swept by Texas, pulling one out yesterday against the Yankees, but
swept by Texas after Jacob deGrom shit the bed.
Jacob deGrom looked awful. Looked good today though.
He did look good today.
6 innings, 1 earned. I think he had like 7 Ks or something. He's getting back
sounds
into
like
form.
Jacob deGrom.
Yeah, back into form. He had a good outing today too. And the Tampa Bay Rays, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was about to say
what the
6-0.
Dude, can't find
the Rays are the white whale of the MLB. They are this majestic creature that is all rumors and is all talk, and nobody believes that it'll exist into the postseason. And then they just show up and win 96 games a year and with nothing. And they bring in these guys that are mediocre pitchers, that are middle-of-the-pack guys, and they turn them into absolute studs who are throwing lights out year-round, just solid 1 through 5 guys that you can rely on.
You know who that reminds me of? New England.
The Patriots? Yeah, it's very much
no names.
It's very much a Patriots way. My problem with it, though, is if you look at Tampa Bay in the last, I want to say, 5 years or so,
like
they always find their way in, but they never go anywhere.
Yeah,
because they run out of gas.
They run out of gas. Well, except for what was it?
2000.
It was 2011.
They
went to the World Series. Didn't they go to the World Series against
Philadelphia?
No. I'm talking recently because Kevin Cash pulled Blake Snell in like the 6th inning. This was like 2020.
Oh, I don't count that.
Yeah, this was like 2020 or 2021, right?
It was the COVID.
Was it
bubble,
COVID season when the Dodgers won?
Yeah, and I don't count the COVID bubble. My biggest look, I think in every one of the major sports, the COVID bubble doesn't count. And let me just make sure that was the COVID bubble and I'm not going crazy.
It's going to be interesting to see if it was the COVID bubble.
Yeah. All
Let's see. We can cut this out because this is awful. World Series 2020. Was it 2020?
I feel like it was either 2020 or 2021.
World Series, second time in franchise history, 4-2 Game 7 against the Astros in 2020. Yeah, they won. Yeah, so it was 2020. They beat the Astros to go to
the World Series against the Dodgers.
And they lost to the Dodgers. And I will say,
it was what was it, Game 6 or Game 7?
Yes.
Kevin Cash pulled Blake Snell in like the 6th inning,
right.
and everybody was like, Blake Snell's only at like 70 pitches.
Yes.
What are we doing? He's like, the analytics said to do this. And then they get absolutely rocked as soon as they pull him out.
I will say, though, in all 4 of the major sports, the COVID championship to me doesn't count and or has a huge asterisk next to it.
Lakers bubble.
No, but seriously, Lakers bubble, right? You have the Dodgers World Series. You have the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup, right? And you had, was that Kansas City that won that year? No, it was Tom Brady and Tampa Bay, right? The Super Bowl champion of 2020, if I'm not mistaken. Nonetheless, I don't count the Super Bowl. I don't count the World Series. I don't count the Stanley Cup bubble for 2 big reasons.
Yeah.
First is no fans make a hell of a difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
especially when it comes to, like, because even in the NHL, they were still playing on home and away ice. Like, they weren't, so, like, it's not like during the season, but, like, the NBA didn't.
It was all a bubble.
It was all a bubble.
There's no fans. Tyler Hero, if I'm not mistaken, not that this has anything to do with baseball, but Tyler Hero, I think, for lack of better phrasing, was the hero of that bubble for Miami. And it's like the dude was a rookie playing in the playoffs out of his mind because there's no fans. It's just like playing pickup, right? Same thing with baseball. It's just like playing a pickup game when you don't have fans screaming at you. Look, last year's World Series, right? If that was played in a bubble, I don't know if Philly wins 2 games. Or was it? Yeah, it was 2 games, right? I don't know if Philly goes up 2-1.
I don't know.
Because at home in Citizens Bank Park with those fans screaming and shouting, it is a tough place to play.
Look at that home run from Bryce Harper against San Diego in the 8th inning.
I'm not even a Phillies fan. I'm getting chills just thinking about that.
I mean, no offense to anybody who may listen to this. And, obviously this would be our first little episode back, so I'm not expecting an audience here.
Fair.
But if anybody listens to this who is a Philadelphia fan.
Oh, Jeff, by the way, I have MLB.TV if you want to sign into it and you can actually watch the game.
I was going to say I have it too. I have
it for the Mets.
Yep. I am a diehard Mets fan. I have been my entire life. I grew up in Central Jersey. It exists.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does because you're going to tell me if you draw a line straight that splits in the middle of Jersey, you're going to tell me Trenton doesn't line up there?
Yeah, but
because it does, and I live right next to Trenton, literally next to it.
One of them's north, one of them's south.
And
nonetheless,
no.
Jeff,
Anyway, I grew up in the center of Jersey, right near the Capitol, and I grew up going to Philadelphia Phillies games because they were closer to us. So I grew up going there. But even still, I would much rather go to a Philadelphia Phillies game or a Philadelphia Flyers game as an away fan than a Philadelphia Eagles game.
Amen.
If you go to a Philadelphia Eagles game as an away fan, you are asking...
You're asking for trouble.
You are asking for something to happen, whether getting verbally or physically assaulted. But Philly fans are the scariest but most passionate fans on the planet. And that is the only way to describe them, as they're so diehard. Literally if you cut them open, their insides would bleed cheesesteak. That's what that city is. It is ridiculous.
As a side note, did you see some of the videos that were posted on Twitter for the home games for their postseason for the Eagles? Some of those absolute craziness going into the stadium wearing opposing team.
Yeah, I mean,
stuff.
I still remember because
I
still remember 2017 or 2018 NFC Championship when it was Vikings Eagles, the year that the Eagles went to the Super Bowl and won it.
Oh, you're a Vikings fan too.
I am
right?
a Vikings fan now.
Now I'm a New Yorker. I'm Giants, Mets,
Yes,
Rangers,
right.
the whole nine.
So
you and I are on the same page.
Exactly.
Here. We'll try not to make fun of Jeff too much.
So
but because I'm Steelers when it came to football.
Yeah, that's fair.
See, I still have like harsh feelings towards Eagles fans for this reason, because there's videos that I still remember seeing that still videos that I remember seeing of people like Vikings fans, women, kids, guys too, getting hit with like full beer bottles, beer cans getting thrown at them in the parking lot. Like that type of shit, that's the part that makes me like, all right.
Philadelphia is such a cool place and such a bad place in the same vein.
Like
like you said, the fans are so passionate, it like bubbles over at points, which is kind of scary, honestly. But I will say, Trey Turner 100% signed with the Phillies because of their playoff run.
Yeah.
Dude, those fans, electric. You cannot find there's a few fandoms in the MLB specifically.
I can only think of 3 other stadiums in all of the MLB that could compete against Citizens Bank Park and its fans.
Okay, go ahead. I think I got him.
Hold on.
One of them's Wrigley. I know for a goddamn fact.
Yeah, I would say.
Wrigley.
Right.
Wait, so you said
There's
other
3
than Citizens Bank Park, there are 3 that could hold
others.
up in like a playoff atmosphere. You said
Yes.
Wrigley's one.
it would have to be. It would have to be Wrigley. It would have to be Wrigley, Fenway, and Yankee Stadium. That would have to be the big 3.
Yeah. No. But again, that's
Either that, and then even still,
I
you could
don't know,
maybe say
because
Houston. You could maybe say Dodger Stadium. I mean, there's
Dodgers fans. Listen, for as much
you
crap
gotta
as
remember,
Dodgers fans get,
the Dodgers Stadium fits what 50,000 people, something like that.
yeah, but you know what though? Fenway Park, I think, only holds like 20,000 at max.
That is one of the
and they're
loudest.
absurd,
Yeah.
dude. They are.
Well, they
you know,
also
it's the
have
Boston
rooftops
thing.
too.
Yeah.
They have rooftops next to the stadium. People got
Right.
seats on
They're-
top of.
Now, I would agree with you. I would think Wrigley, Fenway, and Yankee Stadium are probably the 3. But I mean, you could make a case for some of these smaller teams that haven't been back. Like, I would love to see Cincinnati back. Did you see the video of Cincinnati on opening day? They had a drone video of whatever street that is that the ballpark is on opening day. I mean, just red everywhere.
Really?
It was full of Reds fans. Cincinnati, I feel so bad for Cincinnati. They're a team that has such rich history and such a devout fan base, and they can't get anything. Them and Pittsburgh. Actually, you know what's an electric place? If you remember when Pittsburgh was making that run, when they had Marte and they had McCutcheon.
Oh yeah,
and,
yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
God,
Well, you
that
heard
place
about
is
it.
electric
What was that?
too.
What was that?
20. I want to say
14.
Yes, where they were making that. They made that wild card push.
Yep.
And they look great this year too so far.
Well,
which
McCutcheon's
is such a
back.
weird- yes,
McCutcheon's back.
McCutcheon's back.
And then
He went
O'Neal,
back.
dude, O'Neal Cruz. That dude is
Dude, O'Neal Cruz
Special.
is literally a juggernaut. He's a early Barry Bonds. That's what
I think
he
it's like
reminds me of.
if Usain Bolt was to play baseball. I feel like
Dude's wild. He reminds
like
me. He reminds me of a
he's
young
so
Barry Bonds.
fast and he's so strong.
Yep.
Like when he throws the ball, and he's a shortstop.
He
like
is.
you're throwing the ball, and it literally looks like Jacob deGrom throwing the ball.
Right.
Dude's
It
absolutely out of his
is
mind.
like he's just so crazy, absurdly strong. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh deserves more. You know what I really think, and I know nobody's going to go for this, but I really do think baseball should introduce a salary cap. And don't get me wrong, the 3 of us sitting here, hear me out.
Yeah, I'm giving you weird looks on this one.
The 3
Yeah,
of
wait
us
a
sitting
second.
here, right? Me and Nick obviously being Mets fans, Jeff, you being a Phillies fan. I think we have payroll 1 and 3, right? Like the Mets have
I
payroll
think so. I
number
think
1.
it's Mets, Yankees, Phillies.
Yeah,
and then or
no, I think the Dodgers.
Dodgers
maybe.
might still be up there. but
Nonetheless,
they dumped Justin Turner's contract though, so
that's fair. Nonetheless,
I don't think that's too much.
I know for a fact the Mets have the highest payroll, and
Right.
I'm not really that mad about it. But I do think that baseball should introduce a salary cap. Now, I know it'll never happen. The players would have to go along with it, which they never will.
Right.
But think about the challenges teams like Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Houston even for a while, but then Houston got, I don't want to say lucky because you're not necessarily lucky when you draft players, but Houston gets lucky with drafting some very good talent and going on a run or two, and then the fandom comes back and now people want to play in Houston, right? But you get teams like Arizona who can never seem to find somebody, or a team like Toronto, Kansas City, even, right? Like, you get these teams where their payroll isn't large. You're not attracting these huge free agents. Oakland.
Right.
And it sucks because these teams are the bottom of the barrel.
Dude,
for
Oakland
years
just
on
needs
end.
to go to Vegas, man. Either get
there's too much history with that ballpark as well. Like, talk about
the
Rich
Coliseum.
The Coliseum needs to be taken down.
Vegas is like, the Raiders are gone. I mean, there's nothing else left in Oakland at this point. Is there? What's left in Oakland? If other than the A's, what's left in Oakland?
Yeah,
The problem with Oakland is the fact that there's 4 teams in that surrounding
They have
area.
Golden State.
No.
That's it.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, in terms of baseball, there's 3 teams in the surrounding area that are better. Like, you could go see the Angels play. You can go see the Dodgers play. Hell, you could even go see San Diego play. It's a little bit more of a hike, but you could be a fan of any one of those 3 teams and have a chance at winning a World Series every other year.
Right.
And Oakland is the bottom of the league every year. So, to your point, what's left in Oakland? Not much.
No.
I think if they go to Vegas, they might get a better fan base because obviously the Raiders have shown that Vegas wants teams. Like, the Raiders have shown they're good for football. The Knights have shown they're good for hockey. I think they would welcome the A's with open arms, but does it change the fact that the team still sucks? Does it change the fact that the team still has the same ownership group and really doesn't seem to care?
Right.
Well, I think if the A's are going to get out of Oakland, I think it'll have to be done with a new ownership group. I don't think the current ownership group would.
They're gonna. There's
yeah.
no way they do anything without selling that team.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. And even still, it would have to be for Oakland to really just turn it around like that. It would have to be a situation where they get some sort of billionaire to come in, buy the team,
Right.
and dump money into it like Steve Cohen did with the Mets, and it just upgrade everything.
Well, here's a question for you. I know last year they talked about Tampa going to Montreal to any extent. How do you feel about adding another Canadian team?
I think if you're gonna bring another Canadian team into play,
Bring the Expos back, dog. Come on.
well,
Yeah, but okay. So do you pop the Expos up as an expansion, or do you move a franchise? Since we're already talking about the A's moving to Vegas,
I feel
why
like
not throw the A's into Montreal?
no.
I feel like the only way that you could legitimately do an expansion, like, I don't see how the MLB. I mean, I guess they could make it work, but what are they going to do for seeding and for divisions and stuff if they add one team? I feel like they would have to have 2 expansion teams.
I think you look at somebody else in that area. I think you look at the Mariners or the Marlins.
No, the Mariners have such a good fan base.
Yeah, the Mariners fan base is crazy, and now the Mariners are up and coming too, and they have such
were
a
wild last year,
dude. Going into and getting they made the playoffs last year, right?
On the if I'm not mistaken, it was the one of the last games of the season.
They missed.
They made
they
the playoffs,
made it,
and then ended up losing. No, they won the wild card game on a walk-off 18th inning, right?
Yep. Yes.
And then they got swept in the first
it was
round.
the year prior that they lost or just missed the playoffs by like 1 game at the very end of the season.
Yes.
Because they won, but they needed another team to win, and they that team lost.
So
or
then
something
we're talking
like that.
about the Marlins.
You know what? If the Marlins moved, I don't think I'd be opposed to that.
Nah, they just built a new stadium down there. Lone Depot's like new. They just updated all of that.
No, I know, but I wouldn't be necessarily opposed to that. I just to your point, Nick, you would have to add a second team on the West Coast if Montreal.
Right.
If Montreal's not on the West Coast, is it? Of Canada?
No, Montreal's on the East Coast.
It is.
Or
Okay.
it's not on the East Coast, but it's closer
Eastern,
to
right?
it's.
So you would have to add a West Coast team. So what city would you look at? I can't really think of one off the top of my head. You can't use California.
Portland.
No way.
No, because you already got Seattle.
Who's going to Portland?
No,
what does Portland have? Let's start there. The Blazers.
But you're also, if you're going anywhere up north there, you're building another indoor stadium. You're not building an outdoor.
That's true.
Because the weather's going to prevent you from creating an outdoor stadium.
Yep.
So, I'd say.
I'm trying to think because out west, you really don't have a ton of states that have a bunch of populace.
I think Vegas is the next option.
Vegas
if you're going to put a West Coast team
but
up.
if you move the A's, then you're shit out of like.
Move the A's to Vegas.
You move the A's to Vegas. You move. Well, Marlins will stay in the East no matter what.
Shit, put a team in Minnesota. Why not?
Another indoor stadium.
Who cares? Oh wait, duh. The Twins are so irrelevant.
I was gonna say, what are we putting another stadium up in Minnesota?
The Twins have been so overhyped the last few years.
Put a team in
literally
Minnesota.
sitting at 4-2, they lost to the Marlins this past week.
Don't
get me wrong.
This, Nick, the face I had, I'm like, what are you?
I thought he was talking about bringing another team to Minnesota.
No, I didn't even because all I think of is like, oh my God, like for years they were like the Twins are going to be so good. Max Kepler, Byron Buxton. Byron Buxton never plays. Max Kepler hasn't done shit the last couple years. Like the Twins are always looked at as supposed to be good in the AL Central and coming out of the AL Central, and they just don't.
Here's an idea. What if? Oh, you need a West Coast team. What if? What if we did something like New Orleans?
See, now New Orleans getting a baseball team would be incredible.
I think New Orleans would just open arms for that team.
Oh God, yeah.
Right? But the problem is you still need a West Coast unless you're just going to throw them in the Western the Western Conference.
You're not going to.
If you're going to throw them in the AL.
If you're going to have New Orleans come into play as building a team out of New Orleans, you're bringing that into the East. You
know what though? It doesn't even matter because what you could do is you could throw the Montreal in the NL, throw Louisiana in the AL, and call it even. I think New Orleans would be a fun spot to have a baseball team in.
New Orleans would be incredible.
I
mean, come on. The Saints have probably one of the best fan bases in all of sports.
100%.
I mean, you got LSU, one of the greatest college fan bases in the country.
Right.
I mean, New Orleans, there is not. I don't think there is a geographical group of people that are more proud to be where they're from than people who are from New Orleans and in that Creole background and that stuff like that. I mean,
and you could go with the French theme. Like the Saints logo is already very French-esque. You have the French colors. You can make it seem. Dude, I think that'd be a golden. I guess you can't really do gold and black because you have the Pirates, but I mean, you could still do it. Anyway, nonetheless, I think New Orleans would be a fun place to have a city.
You could still do something.
Not that we're
to
not
have
just
a city,
or you know what I mean.
I
think we're obviously just bullshitting at this point, but
I think it's a, I think that is going to be something in conversation sooner or later, right? It's obvious.
That would be.
Well, it's obvious that the MLB is looking to, set up the game to be more friendly for fan viewership, right? That's the whole purpose.
Trying to get more people.
Right. So that's the whole purpose of trying to get,
we're starting a revolution.
Yeah, right.
Baseball in New Orleans.
Well, I'm just saying as far as you're creating this environment for these fans to come into that's a shorter game, more entertaining. So ultimately you're going to see a bigger viewership within the next year or two, which is going to make it more reasonable for people to look at it as being a possible good expansion.
I think it'd be awesome.
So I think that ultimately could put him in a spot for the next 10 years to be able to look at bringing others in.
Side note, I am going to, since Nick, I don't know what you started or what you did not start or whatever, but I'm going to create a Twitter page, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I made a TikTok, so if anybody is listening, wants to follow our TikTok, it is at the Playbook Project on TikTok.
Which has nothing to do with baseball, by the way. That name is probably going to have to change.
We are probably going to have to change that, which that's no big deal. We can change that. We can we can do some creative thinking. We can poll our family and friends and see.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the Playbook Project if it was an all
if it was
sports.
I mean,
or
you
not
even
do the scorebook, right? Like the scorebook project, right? Because baseball has.
Yeah, but you really keep a scorebook in football.
No, you don't. You don't have a playbook in baseball, though.
And
You do have a playbook in basketball, I would think.
And in football, but
and
and
hockey.
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, so we'll figure that out as the time comes. The name I'm not really worried about.
No,
I'm more or less worried about just putting content out there and
true.
As we're watching the Royals Toronto Blue Jays game in the
I got it in my head.
The 4th inning.
The box score.
That's not bad.
That's actually not bad.
That,
I'll keep that one in the bank.
Jeff just pulls it out of his ass.
Jeff.
The box.
Jeff.
Box score.
That's really not bad.
Box score podcast.
I like it. I'm here for it.
Huh.
And, yeah, I'm here for it. Anyway, nonetheless, so I guess, well, here's a serious question. What time do you all have until?
So
like normally on a normal Wednesday, what time would you be able to get in, record until? I know that's a little subject to change.
I mean,
but
that's my thing is I'm off. So right now I'm off Wednesdays and Fridays.
Okay.
So I can do really Fridays I can do anytime because both myself and my girlfriend are off.
Okay.
Wednesdays I have to wait till she gets home. She usually gets home by like 6.
Okay, gotcha.
So I get down here by 6:45, 7.
Okay, and what time can you like stay? Like, is there a time you have to be out the door like to get back, or
so
not really?
Tonight I told her I would try to be back by like 9:30.
Okay, no, fair.
But in the future, she just had a long day at work, so she's like ready to go to bed.
There you go.
But in the future, I'm sure if I could be like, oh yeah, if I'm gonna go like, and I told her it's a 30-minute drive there. We're gonna record for hour and a half, something like that. Obviously, we're setting up stuff, so it started late. But in the future, I'm sure as long as she's good, or if we move it to doing it like Friday nights, then
it doesn't matter. Okay.
Then it doesn't.
Right.
And the
matter.
only other thing is obviously next week, set time, stuff set up.
Right.
We just kind of come in and start, right? Like, you know what I mean? You take 10 minutes, kind of bullshit, and then it's like, okay, hey, let's get into it, get to what we're going to talk about, kind of go through it. So I just wanted, for future purposes, I'm also this week, not that anybody who may listen to this even cares for, but, we might as well just say it, put it out there, whatever. Before next week, I'm going to try and set up my camera on my little tripod here and see if I can get a recording to any extent, see if I can
we can walk you
get a
through how to
recording.
get it set up
and then see if
good.
we can get like a video of us sitting here, kind of bullshit and what have
Okay,
you.
word.
And then some other little notes that I will listen back to as well. When I do listen back to this, a Twitter page got to be done. You have a TikTok, right? So
Yep, TikTok is set up.
Cool. TikTok is set up.
We just have to,
Instagram isn't necessary, I don't think.
I feel like Instagram, if we had to pick something that would be most important, it would probably be like TikTok, Twitter,
Instagram,
YouTube,
Facebook. Oh yeah, YouTube.
I would say YouTube because Shorts. YouTube Shorts is Shorts would be the big one, because we can post TikToks essentially there. But yeah, I mean,
okay, so a YouTube
Nick
page
Prado.
as well. That would be something to get into. And then next week we can really get into all of the stuff that we were trying to get into this week. Obviously, we have the division standings, giving us 2 weeks to really talk about the standings, how everybody looks 2 weeks in.
Yep, absolutely.
Playoff seeding. I think it's a little early on playoff
seeding.
No.
I'm not talking about. I'm just talking about let's do. So obviously, I take a lot of inspiration from other content creators on,
of course,
YouTube, TikTok, everything like that.
Right.
It was more or less not. We don't have to go into playoff seeding now. I was just more or less saying like your predictions for how you think the season is going to go.
Oh,
like
okay, I understand.
Like division winners, because that's easy enough to run through. Like, and on the Google Doc, that's what I've been sitting here talking about and working on. Or I've been working on while we were talking for the last little bit is I'm working on, like, I already did all my, like, predictions for where I think standings are going to be at the end of the year.
Okay. Awards, predictions, that's, okay.
Yeah,
So
awards,
early bird awards.
I would say, like, if we, awards, I mean, that's a little bit more in depth, I feel.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really on performance.
Because, I mean, that's all performance-based, and then also you got to think about, because, like, you could be like, okay, because we would have to name, if we wanted to do awards, that's ALNNL Cy Young, that's ALNNL
MVPs,
MVPs, Gold Gloves, Silver Sluggers, or I guess...
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of awards.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't be. I probably wouldn't do Gold Gloves in that situation, just because it's a Gold Glove at every position.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But if you wanted to do a Platinum Glove, we could do the Platinum Glove.
Yeah. Okay.
Stuff like that. But
what I think we should do, along with,
I think the standings though we could hit relatively quick.
Yeah. That's an easy one. We could talk big keys of the week, right? Like biggest things, best plays, craziest endings, what have you. And I think one of the coolest things we could do for next week is, obviously you want to do playoff seedings and postseason prediction and how the season's going to shake, but I think everybody should do a wild card spot where it's like, what is the one thing you think could happen that nobody's catching up on? Like, hey, the Pirates could win the division, and I'm calling that, right? Like doing the long shot call where it's like you get one crazy prediction that you have to make.
If the Pirates win the NL Central, I'll get an ass tat. Okay? I'll get
sit on recording.
Right on your
no, not necessarily the big P. I'll figure out to get a way, like some sort of way to get a Pittsburgh Pirates tattoo.
The Jolly Roger.
Like get the Jolly Roger or something. I will get it on my ass. If they win the NL Central, I will get that on my ass.
Oh, done.
That is on the table in recording. It is set in stone. Because it's not going to happen.
Listen, that
because they're not going to beat the Cubs, they're not going to beat the Cardinals, and they'll beat the Reds. The Reds suck.
Yeah,
I was going to say,
but
wait a minute.
the Cubs, the Cardinals, and the Brewers.
Oh, the Brewers look great.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, I watched the game today too.
Yeah, come on.
The Brewers look phenomenal.
I mean, they're just a pitching factory, man.
Oh, dude.
Dude, they are a Corbin Burns, Freddie Peralta,
Miley.
Wade.
Dude.
Wade Miley. I went into that game. I was talking to my little brother about that yesterday. I was like, oh, yeah, Wade Miley's pitching. We should be all right.
Dude.
Blown out.
Dude, absolute stud. Dude, they're going to be tough. And they don't necessarily have, or at least I didn't think they had the bats to really put up a ton of runs, but Jesus Christ, they put what, nine on the Mets yesterday, 7 on them today. That kid looks phenomenal, by the way. Hit his first big league home run, which was a grand slam.
Yeah, it was a grand slam.
Terang. It's
got,
how do you pronounce it?
He had
Jordan. What's his name? Jordan Clarkson, wasn't it?
No.
Jordan Clarkson for the Cardinals.
Yes, for the Cardinals. But
I thought it was Jordan Clarkson.
No, it was. I think I want to say it's. Turang. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it. Bryce Turang. Hit the grand slam the inning where the Mets let up 9.
Oh,
gotcha.
Yep.
So, but yes, the Cardinals look good. Listen, maybe my Pirates prediction was a little out there, but hey, listen, I'm telling you, people are sleeping on
I just want to see Mike Trout play some meaningful baseball.
Dude,
man, it was so cool to see him play meaningful baseball in the World Baseball Classic.
It was so cool, and you know what? For what it's worth, Mike Trout is such a good guy too.
He is, and he's opening up something in Millville.
He is opening up.
Him and Tiger Woods are opening up a golf course.
Yes,
that's awesome.
Yeah, in his hometown. Yeah, which is like, are you kidding? 2 goats opening a golf course,
dude. That's 25 minutes from here. Not even.
Yeah, I know. Like,
that's awesome. No, that's exciting. No, but Mike Trout is such a good guy. I feel so bad for him playing in an Angels uniform for as long as he has.
Like, he's playing in Los Angeles. He's just playing for the wrong Los Angeles team, man.
It was so cool to watch him play meaningful baseball, like you said. But the best part about all of that was the fact that as soon as it was over, he comes out and comments, "I've already told them I'm ready for 2026." And it's like, dude,
it's like,
not only are you one of the best players in the world, but you're such a good guy and a competitor. And Ohtani, dude, what a matchup that was. It was absolutely.
God, and the worst part about that for me was sitting at home. I'm watching it with my father, with my little brother, and all three of us at the same time. That last pitch that Ohtani threw,
nasty, by the way.
Which his slider is nearly unhittable when it's on, but all three of us were watching that as the pitch was being delivered. We all go slider, and it happened, and he whiffed, and we all went. Mother, we were all we were like, we all knew it was coming, and there's no way in that situation Mike Trout did not know that pitch was coming.
Still couldn't hit it,
but he still couldn't hit it.
Dude.
Like Shohei is just that good.
Yeah, when he's on, he is on another level, and he's gonna be the first $500 million player without a doubt. And funny enough, I think. As a couple of my friends like to call Steve Cohen for the Mets, Uncle Stevie.
Oh yeah, I call him that.
I think Uncle Stevie is gonna shell out all that money for him.
Yeah, I think they'll make a very strong push for him.
Right.
I have no doubt about that at all. I just think I'm still not sure that he's actually gonna end up a Met.
I don't know if he. I don't even know if he wants to come to New York. I know a lot of the Asian population, especially baseball-wise, tend to stay West Coast just because that, California is very Japanese, very Asian because it's close.
It's closer
to Japan. It's closer to Asia. So I know a lot of them feel a little more comfortable on the West Coast because, there is a much bigger Asian population. But, I mean, it's not that he couldn't come to the Mets. He definitely could.
He
but
could. Absolutely.
I don't think I don't know if he does.
I don't know, man. Like, no. I'll tell you what. I am thankful that we got one Japanese player this year.
Dude, that ghost pitch, I was going to say forkball, but it's not.
Kodai Senga.
Dude. Did you see his glove, by the way?
Yeah.
Dude, wild.
Dude looks nasty.
Yeah, that ghost.
That ghost fork is what they're calling it.
Yeah, the ghost fork.
That thing is disgusting.
They were cracking me up. I was watching the SNY, which is the Mets station.
Right.
And every time it didn't work, like the pitch wasn't exactly where he needed it to be or it was a ball, they'd call it a fork ball. But every time it was a strike, they called it the ghost pitch.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is great. Like, it's only a ghost pitch when it works. But no, that thing looks out of bounds.
Right.
Like,
it's absolutely stupid.
Stupid. It's going to be interesting nonetheless. I think my biggest takeaways from this year, especially like baseball, I love baseball to death, but one of the hardest things about baseball, and I go back to baseball not having a salary cap,
right,
is the fact that a lot of these teams are just not competitive halfway through the year. And you get to the All-Star break. Yeah, and you get to the All-Star break, and Kansas City is out, right? And it's like they're so far out, they don't care anymore. And Oakland is so far out that they don't care anymore. Now it's like, man, I got to follow these teams or try to follow these teams or watch a series between Kansas City and Oakland in mid-July, and neither of them even care to be there. Like, that's, I think, the hardest part about baseball is the season is so long and teams are out of it fairly early, and it's like, man, oh man, that's hard to watch. Not that you can't. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love baseball. I do. But knowing a team's out of it and watching when a team's out of it, it is very tough. And again, I go back to why I think baseball should bring a salary cap in. The same thing with basketball, actually. I think basketball should do it too, but, whatever. What are you going to do?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't call up Rob Manfred and tell him, hey, wake up.
The problem is the players would have to agree to it. The agreement.
They're never going to agree to it.
No, because then their pockets take a hit too, right? So
yep, that's exactly it.
But I mean, it would make for more competitive ball. Like, you're going to have more teams in the mix at least, but But whatever. What are you going to do?
Unfortunately, you just have to sit there as the fan and enjoy what you can and
and
dislike what you dislike and just ride with it and deal with it.
Yeah, and hopefully some of the smaller teams can ride the waves like Washington. You know, they were able to have a good couple of years. Actually, they were good for a while. I mean, they had Bryce Harper. They were at least competitive.
And then as soon as they got rid of Bryce Harper, as soon as they got rid of Bryce Harper, they win a World Series.
Right. But I think like
which I love Bryce Harper, by the way. That is not a knock.
Talent.
That is not a knock to Bryce Harper. Now, dude in right field, not a great glove, but he can throw the ball. He's got a hell of an arm.
He's got a cannon,
but he also hits absolute nukes. So, like,
this is why I'm glad that designated hitter is something being incorporated overall now.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed that rule last year. I'm very picky about baseball, and I'm very much a traditionalist, but I was very excited that baseball added the DH in both leagues as the year went on, because not only I don't have to watch a pitcher bat.
Especially now that DeGrom's not on the Mets. He was our only pitcher who could hit.
Correct.
So now I especially don't want to watch my pitchers hit.
Right.
Yeah, like pitchers hitting was bad, but I did enjoy it only because it is something different. But having a DH all the way around does make the game a little easier.
Right.
And to your point, Jeff, watching somebody like Bryce Harper get a couple at bats, but also kind of have the day off is still nice. You know, like you can have a Kyle Schwarber just DH for the entire season, and I mean, hell, Nelson Cruz is making a career out of it, a whole second career of being a DH. You know, so
that's for real. Dude's what, 42 or something?
42.
40.
Did you see the nuke he hit yesterday?
Yeah,
dude got a hanging breaking ball and just drove it 5 miles out of the stadium.
Like, God, dude.
Crazy
I mean.
stuff.
He's making a second career. You could split his career in half when he played, when he was a DH.
Right. It's like the same thing with Albert Pujols.
Yeah,
too.
Exactly.
Nelson
Albert
Cruz
Pujols past like 35 was just a DH,
just a DH.
but then he passes what was it? He passed the 600 home run mark, right, or 700 home run?
700.
700.
Dude, Albert
Pujols is a goat, man.
But yeah, so I don't know. I've always been picky about the rules, but some of the rule changes in the last few years have been actually wonderful. Like, I didn't think I was going to like many of them, but here I am really enjoying a lot of them. Like I said, I really just wish that baseball could be more competitive for some of these smaller market teams, because, like Cincinnati, I bring them up again, and I know I've kind of made this point to nauseam.
And that's another crap part, too, because the Great American Ballpark is so awesome. It's one of the coolest ballparks, just because it just like screams like Americana,
right?
Screams like that old school vibe. But then also in terms of like the fan experience and being able to interact with players and having chances to catch foul balls and home runs, like that's one of the best home run catching parks in the major league. Like the ball absolutely flies out of that stadium. And it is a home run park. The concourses are big enough where you can move around. Like, it's just, they're solid. It's rated as one of the most players' favorites, too.
Yeah.
So one of my goals, and it's been a goal of mine for the last few years. It's been a goal of mine for years on end, but the last few I just started actually going and doing it, is to go to every ballpark in the country.
Oh, I would love to do that.
Now, I've done all the Northeast, and I did Fenway, but the last time I was at Fenway, I was like 6, so I don't remember it much. So I say this on record on the podcast, but I also say this to you guys. At some point, I need to go to Fenway this year.
Mm-hmm.
You guys want to take a trip?
Oh, I'm down.
As long as I can.
Yeah, I know you and the girl and the baby, and I know it's a little tougher for you, but
if I'm able to find a way for us to go up for a weekend to go to Fenway and I can afford it,
nice. But one of the other things I always say is there's a few rules of baseball that are true and tested, right? And they're as old as day. And one of them is you always have to root for the home team. So no matter what stadium I go to, every time I go, I buy a hat and a T-shirt, and I root for the home team no matter who they're playing. They could even be playing my Mets. Funny enough, I'll tell you a funny story. So my mom, my dad, and I went out to Pittsburgh to watch a Mets-Pirates game.
I couldn't do that.
Now, I'm a Mets fan.
I couldn't do that.
But baseball rules say root for the home team.
Right.
And when you're in Chicago, you root for the Cubbies. That's it. The White Sox get screwed. But I went to a Mets-Pirates game, went and bought my hat and a T-shirt, and my mom's like, I cannot believe you're doing this. Now, my dad's a Steelers fan, so he wore his Steelers jacket. He blended in. So we're there, and the Pirates went on a walk-off grand slam, and it was the most exciting thing that I've been to, and one of the most heart-wrenching things, because on the outside I'm like, this is awesome, and on the inside I'm like, damn, the Mets just lost. but I will say, Pittsburgh, phenomenal fan base. Phenomenal fan base. They were so welcoming. They didn't care that we were there. My mom
another
specifically.
ballpark I want to go to.
Oh, dude, PNC Park is small, but it's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's in the city.
I've heard the views are
absolutely
just
crazy.
Stupid.
The views are beautiful, and I don't know what you know about Pittsburgh, Nick. I know Jeff has been to Pittsburgh
Long time ago.
to go to Heinz Field, but the way Pittsburgh is set up, right, is
it's all bridges leading into it.
Yeah, so
it's got the most bridges out of any city in the country.
Correct.
Oh, you got the
So
rivers
there's 3 rivers that run through Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you got
So
the Allegheny, you got
I don't know the other ones.
Monongahela.
Okay.
Yeah, you got the hard one,
and
too.
there's one more. I don't know.
You know this one.
Allegheny, Monongahela.
I don't know this last one.
It's a state.
Pennsylvania?
No.
That's not a river.
No.
The Delaware.
No, not the Delaware.
The Mississippi.
No.
I'm throwing states at you here. Does Pennsylvania even have a river?
Is it the Missouri River?
No, it's the Ohio.
Oh, the Ohio River.
nobody was
that
getting
would
that.
would make sense. Duh, Ohio's fucking right there. Stupid. I went to school in West Virginia. Fucking West Virginia. This is the state of West Virginia. Here's WVU. Here's Pittsburgh. Here's Ohio.
Right.
Literally.
So nonetheless, the way the city is set up is 3 bridges, right, go over one river to go into the section of the city where the stadiums are.
Yeah.
So one bridge leads you over to Heinz Field, one bridge leads you over to PNC
cool.
Park, and then the third bridge leads you over, or it's in between them or what have you. Right. So the Roberto Clemente Bridge is the one that takes you to PNC Park.
Of course, naturally.
And they close it down for a Pirates game, and you walk across it.
Oh, that's dope.
And the ballpark is in the city. Like 2 blocks from the stadium is buildings, like business buildings. And then over the bridge on the other side, it's all apartments and like restaurants.
Yep.
And it's in the city, and the views are awesome. The fans were awesome. And then the night we went, we didn't even know it, but the night we went was fireworks night.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
on the
dope.
river, dude,
Yeah,
on the
shoot
river,
this
they
off
start
the
shooting
river.
off fireworks.
Awesome.
Everybody's just standing on the bridge, watching. Dude, it was
Very cool experience.
freaking amazing. Like Pittsburgh is such an underrated city. Not necessarily for sports or sports fans, but just in general. Like the life of Pittsburgh is phenomenal. The city is phenomenal.
Yeah, they're a whole different breed out there too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
and one of my
they're
very,
diehard fans too.
Yeah, one of my very close friends, Jordan, who I went to WVU with. He's from Pittsburgh. He lives up in like upstate New York. He goes to school at I think it's Keuka College up in like the Finger Lakes up in New York. He's there for like esports management. And stuff like that.
Gotcha. Okay.
He's on their like the Valorant team for the school and stuff like that. He's
right.
awesome. Super cool dude. But he's from Pittsburgh, diehard Pittsburgh sports, and then as a New York Knicks fan for basketball because of
Nice.
basketball team.
Nice.
And I always bust his balls for it because
Hey, the Knicks made the playoffs this year.
Hey,
Yeah.
The Knicks are going to make a push. That side note, listen, I'm not a huge basketball guy, but I support the Knicks only because Dolan, who owns the Knicks, who I can't really stand, owns the Rangers too.
Yeah,
And I
don't get me started with the fact that Dolan still owns the Rangers.
Yeah, so I gotta root for the Knicks at least a little bit, but yeah. So one of my goals to bring this all back around is to visit every ballpark. So
Right.
if this summer we can make a couple of trips, Nick, I know it's gonna be a little tougher for you. I understand that,
Right.
but one of the biggest trips I want to do is a day-night doubleheader in Chicago, or a day-day doubleheader where it's like one night we do Wrigley,
Yeah, and
one
then
night we do
guaranteed rate.
yeah,
Yeah.
guaranteed rate.
And I haven't been to either New York Stadium.
What?
Yes.
You
so
haven't been to
that's
Yankee
an-
Stadium or
fourth
City?
city.
I've been to
so-
old Yankee Stadium. I have not been to new
Okay,
Yankee
let me
Stadium.
tell you the
maybe
difference.
that's one to
Okay.
throw in the book.
But I
we
also
could do-
haven't been to old Yankee Stadium since I was like 6 years old.
So we can do City Field. City Field is actually super nice. I like to call it New
I'll be
Shea.
doing that. I'll be doing that at the end of this month.
I'm going on the 1st of May, actually.
Really? You
Yeah.
should. Dude, there's a ticket literally one row behind me and like a seat like over like diagonal to us. One row behind is like $25.
What day
It's
is
a
that game?
Thursday night. We're taking the train from Hamilton.
All right, I'll let you know.
It's for my brother's. It's for my brother's birthday.
Yeah.
So if you do go, we
Happy
run
birthday
into
to your
you.
brother,
Yeah,
right.
we run into you like, oh, that's funny.
Citi Field can be done, Jeff. And Yankee Stadium, Nick, I will say, new Yankee Stadium is very similar to old Yankee Stadium.
In
Everything's
terms of
just
like the way
expensive.
it's built out, right?
Yeah, it's. I mean, old Yankee Stadium was nice. New Yankee Stadium is nice too, but as crazy as this is to say, and my dad's a big Yankees fan, but like Yankee Stadium to me has the vibe of, it's old and it's historic, but it's not the same to me as something like Fenway, something like Wrigley.
Yeah, because there's something different about the
stadium being that old.
The nostalgia of the stadium versus, it's the Yankees have been around forever, and so
exactly.
But fucking Wrigley Field has been around since the 1800s, early 1900s. Meanwhile, new Yankee Stadium was built when
2009.
And then when was old Yankee Stadium built?
Yeah.
60s?
Yeah, and then
70s?
Yeah. But that definitely of which can be done. I would love to do a Chicago doubleheader, which would be cool. And then I do have a friend who I haven't talked to in a little bit, but I have a friend out in Seattle. He's a diehard Phillies fan because he's from the area. His wife, however, is from and moved him out to Seattle. So they're Mariner season ticket holders, and he's a diehard Phillies fan. So if and when the Phillies go out to Seattle this year, I'll see if I can get in contact. His name's Jay. I'll see if I can get in contact with Jay, and we'll see if we can get something going there because Seattle is a that would be a place
super cool trip.
And maybe we do a West Coast trip. Seattle down to the LA's, San Francisco, San Diego, Oakland, what have you. But yeah, so that's a goal of mine is to go to every baseball park, and go watch baseball in all the different stadiums and root for the home team in every single one of them because you want to be part of the crowd, right? You want to be part of the fans. You want to experience it with them. And a lot of teams got some cool stuff. Like I know, that phone ring is going to be in this. I know the Yankees have the WB Mason whistle when somebody strikes out.
Right.
Yeah. I know. The Washington Nationals actually have something for strikeout too. I can't remember exactly what it is.
I think the Mets have something too. Don't they have like a
Mets
ching ching? Or
yeah, no, but the Washington National fandom actually has a chant when there's a strikeout. The whole stadium chants it, just like the Mets do.
The Mets,
when they're on the road.
Yeah. Even in the home games, the 7 line. If there's a strikeout, they go, "Oh, he struck him out."
Yeah.
That's what they do at the home games too.
So some of those things, or even like in Pittsburgh, right when the Pirates win, they have their mascot wave the Jolly Roger.
Yep,
right?
and then Milwaukee, you have the guy
he raises the Jolly
yeah,
Roger.
and then Milwaukee goes down the slide. Yep. So Philly,
has
the bell when you hit a home run. Citi Field has the apple that comes up when you hit a home run.
So I just love to cheer for the home team and see all the different intricacies. And the cool thing about baseball ballparks is there's more to do than just the game.
Yeah.
And
a lot of these things, there's events for kids. There's
baseball's so good
entertainment.
about that.
And especially some of these places, and as a final note before I have to leave and get home to my 4-month-old and my wife, some of these places have crazy venues and complexes that contain the actual stadium.
Right. Yes,
like with Philly. You have that whole sports complex. You have the Eagles, you have the Sixers, you have the Flyers, you have the Phillies. Bang, 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 all in one shot, and you have Xfinity Live right there.
In the middle of it.
And you have now...
Live Casino.
You have now Live Casino.
Which is absolutely crazy.
Now, that's the difference between now, obviously, the Mets and the Yankees are in the middle of both the Bronx and Queens. There's not a ton around them.
The Mets were smart enough to at least put their stadium a little bit outside
of it. Now they have a ton of space around it, which Steve Cohen hopefully will develop into something. But you look at something like Baltimore. Camden
Yards is in the city.
Yes, but it has downtown is right there.
The Inner Harbor, yes.
The Inner Harbor is right there, so you have so much to do. And you can walk out of the stadium onto the street right behind it, and you're in the city of Baltimore, right at rock.
Yeah, the Inner Harbor is great. One last point before you do run about – oh, my God, what was I going to make my point about? It was going to be about the – there is something – if we do get a chance to go to Chicago, I've got a friend who has a friend who lives in Chicago, or at least did. And have you guys heard of Wrigleyville?
Yes. I've seen videos on it.
So apparently
I know Wrigleyville, like on their City Connect jerseys, they had Wrigleyville was on the City Connect jersey.
So apparently on the north side of Wrigley, don't quote me, but I believe it's the north side of Wrigley, they have an entire block of bars and restaurants that are all Cubs themed. And they party hard. Mm-hmm. And my buddy, whose friend lived in Chicago, would say when he would watch the games from his apartment, which was 3 blocks from Wrigleyville, he would turn the volume off and open his windows, and he would listen to the crowd and the stadium. And he said, I don't know why I did it. He goes, I get to the second inning and say, screw it, and walk 2 blocks to Wrigleyville, and it's just, he's like, block party of everybody.
Right.
And he said in 2016 when they won, he said it was absolutely wild.
The city was probably burned into the ground. 108 years. 108 years that was.
But anyway,
I still remember the year prior when the Mets swept
this
them 4 games
close.
to none, and then made it to the World Series and lost 4 games to 1 to Kansas City. Don't talk to me. I'm done.
All right, I guess that's episode 1 of whatever we're
gonna call this thing.
So I'll run this back. Probably not tonight, but tomorrow night I'll run this back, listen to it, just put it on a file,
edit out my coughs.
And then I may not even edit much of it. I'll just put it on a file just to upload it to maybe SoundCloud, just to make sure it.
I remember last time on SoundCloud we did have. Remember, we were limited with how many we could put up at once. Like, we recorded 3, but we could only have 2 on there at one time.
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah. So I don't know how it works with getting on like Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Yeah, I have a buddy we can talk into about that.
So gotcha. Okay.
Fantastic.
And then editing is just going to be that. I don't know how much editing we'll do. I don't. I
really don't think editing's really going to come into it until video is involved.
Yes.
Once video's involved, and we actually have like a space that we can set up and do it, and I can get the video editing software on my computer, and like if we actually, if we finish my basement, the goal is to finish the basement. I think he said by like June.
Okay.
So hopefully another 2 months and it's done. We're getting all the electrical stuff started now. The plumbing's done. Everything like that. So hopefully we get all the electrical stuff, get all insulation, drywall, paint. Right. Get that done, hopefully.
Get it all figured out.
Yeah, and then I really don't think editing of the podcast necessarily is needed. I mean, there's people who do live radio for 4 hours a day.
And don't it's like even Joe Rogan, like they don't edit shit.
So
you watch a Joe Rogan podcast, they talk for 3.5 hours while they're on illicit substances, and they just ramble, and you don't see a cut in that video once.
Right. So I really think we could probably just record and go for it,
And then I also have my predictions ready for next episode.
So that's the other thing is we'll have to get ready for next week. But anyway, peace out.
That's
Thanks.
it.